outstanding audience, we meet again, and today I am doing Total Drama Revenge of the Island my way. So let's get into this. First off, I want to get into episode 27 World Tour. I would like it if we were just shown everybody's audition tapes and then the cast would pick out these characters. But then let's get into the challenge. So these are going to be the teams. It's going to be mostly the same. Few changes. We're still going to have Mike and Zoe be on the same team. We're still going to have Brick and Joe on the same team. We're still going to have Dawn and Bee on the same team. They're going to be the same teams, except Stacy, she's going to be on the different team. Because Stacy sucks, and you're going to find out why. So, in episode 1, I wanted to play out the exact same way. I think it's a pretty solid opener episode, and the challenge is pretty solid. Except, this time, the Toxic Rats, they're going to win the challenge because, they actually won the challenge, and the Mutant Maggots just destroyed their thing. They're all going to vote out Stacy because she's annoying. So, yeah, Stacy is first boot. So, in episode 2, we see more of Mike's personalities as Zoe's starting to like him, and Sam and Lightning are going to start to bicker, and Dawn and Bee are becoming more friends, and Sam and Dakota are talking a little bit, and Scott still has his plan to sabotage his team so that way he can pick off his own team, and Cameron, Mike, and Zoe are going to form a friendship, and Joe is going to be trying to lead Cameron on his side, while Brick and Joe are going to start forming their arguments, and this is all going to happen, throughout the season as it keeps building up. But, yeah, just for episode 2 right now, it's just going to be, the entirety of the episode is going to be, the liars, and, you have to tell the truth about an embarrassing fact. So, Sam admits his lie, and it's going to reveal that Dakota, she was once fat as a teenager, and she had to lose a bunch of weight to plastic surgery because people were being mean to her. So Sam emphasizes with Dakota, and then when it comes to Scott's turn, he isn't going to say anything, and then he's going to get super mad at everybody, why didn't you say anything? That shark almost bit me, and that's where he's going to get Fang's shark tooth. And Lightning's going to reveal that that he lost the Super Bowl, so that's why his dad is mad at him. Bee's still going to reveal his name is Beverly. And the Mutant Maggots on their side, Mike is very scared about his secret being revealed, but the challenge ends before Chris was able to reveal his secrets, because one person on each team doesn't get a secret revealed, and those two players are Mike and Dawn. Zoe's gonna have a secret revealed. Brick is gonna have a secret revealed. Joe and Cameron as usual, but the Toxic Rats here, they're still going to lose the challenge. So when it comes to going to vote someone off, they're going to be like, all right, I think it's Dawn that was the one that lied and got me almost bitten by that shark. I say we all vote her off. So everybody votes off Dawn. If it weren't a non-elimination challenge, which Chris reveals that there's going to be one non-elimination challenge, and episode 2 will be that one non-elimination challenge. So we move on to episode 3, and this is where we get our first cameo. Now, cameos from the original cast are going to work a little different here. This time, the cameos are actually going to help the losing teammates. So, this cameo for episode 3 is going to come in the second half. I'll get into that. But for the first half, Bee helps his teammates win. So, they win the first half. But Lashana is still going to help because they picked the suckier cabin. So, now they have Lashana on her team. So, when Vito comes into action, Lashana and Vito are going to start arguing. So then they're going to be starting to tussle, and Anne Maria is going to be over Vito, but they're still going to, the Mutant Maggots, they're still going to get their flag. So the Mutant Maggots win the challenge, and during the challenge, Dakota wasn't really paying attention, and she wasn't really paying attention to the rest of the challenges, so they decide to vote Dakota off, and Sam's going to be pretty upset, because her and Dakota were bonding a little, and now he doesn't really have anyone he really connects to. But we move on to episode 4, the Izzy challenge. Now, Izzy's still going to say her classic old Izzy, hunting down every single person imaginable. So she's going to take away Bee, Dawn, and Lightning, and same people like she took away last time. She's going to take away Zoe, and then she's going to take away Joe, I believe. The Mutant Maggots, they got separated and then back together. So these three are going to be arguing, and these two are going to be making out. As Joe wants Cameron on her side, and I'm gonna be acting like lightning. Joe isn't a boy, and Brick wants Cameron to realize that Joe is not a good person to be around with. Meanwhile, Sam is convincing Scott is convincing Sam that Lightning is not a good person and that he was trying to set him up, and that's why he was being so mean to him last challenge. Because, like, remember when Sam was calling himself Thunder in episode 3 in, like, the original? That still is going to happen. So Sam now only trusts Scott, and he doesn't trust Lightning. So when it comes to elimination, Scott is still going to have them lose. And Brick, he's gonna go against his code, but they're still gonna win, because, like, the amount of people being eliminated doesn't really matter in this part. Like, you aren't gonna get a penalty for every person you lose this time. The toxic rats lose a challenge, so they now have to vote someone off, and Scott and Sam vote off Lightning, and Dawn and B don't really know who to vote for, so Lightning goes home, and move on to episode 5. So Sam's happy that Dakota comes back, and, during the challenge, Dakota starts, like, feeling bad for, like, the thing. She starts developing emotions, and when it comes down to the challenge, episode 5, they're gonna have Bridget on their team, because they lost last time. So, they're still going to lose again, though, because Cameron sacrifices himself to help the Maggots win, and Scott's going to sabotage their team, and Dawn's going to realize Scott's a self-sabotaging, like, conniving person. So she's going to tell B about this, and then they're going to tell Sam, and then Sam's going to believe them. He's like, wow, I can't believe Scott would do that. And, so when it comes to the elimination, they're all going to vote against Scott, and things look down here for Scott until Scott reveals that he has a Chris McClain invincibility statue, so Sam gets eliminated because Scott heard Sam going to betray him. And Dakota's like, if you're getting rid of Sam, you're firing me. So Chris fires Dakota, and they both go off together, happy being able to be together in this challenge. So now we move on to episode 6. And episode 6, Lindsay's still going to be their fashion queen, and she's going to be the one kidnapped in the challenge. So it's going to be like whoever wins the fashion contest, the other team gets Lindsay, but then Lindsay gets kidnapped, so they have to go save Lindsay. And I feel like here, B would just make some sort of contraption to save Lindsay. So Lindsay gets saved by their almighty B. And when it comes to elimination, I feel like Zoe here, she has enough of Aunt Maria, because Aunt Maria has been hoarding over Mike back in episode 5. So after the elimination, she's like, before the elimination, she's so done. And then she has this talk with Dawn that usually happened in episode 5. And, like, then why don't you just convince Mike to vote her out? See where his real trust is. She's like, I'm going to do that. You're right. So she tells Mike that they're voting off Aunt Maria, and Mike's pretty okay with that, so they tell Cameron and Brick, he wants to vote off Joe, but he obliges. So they vote off Aunt Maria, and Aunt Maria gets eliminated, and Zoe's like, thank you, Dawn. So in episode 7, this one is the Feral Zeke challenge, but now Zeke is just going to be one of the players, and we see Manitoba Smith in this episode, and yeah, we still see Svetlana, we still see all of Mike's alter egos. I haven't really mentioned Mike that much, but him and Zoe and Aunt Maria, they're still going to have their conflicts going on. So in episode 7, so Ezekiel's going to be on the Team Toxic Rats, as he's going to be the one coming back. It was a kind of funny joke, because he was the one that was a mutant freak, but that didn't happen in World Tour. Oh yeah, if you haven't seen my Island Action World Tour videos, please go watch them, because when I do the All-Star ones, this isn't going to really make that much sense if you haven't seen them yet. You don't really need to see them to watch the rest of this video. I'm just saying, they're good videos. All I'm saying, they're a little underrated, especially the Island one. They're good videos. But in episode 7, I feel like Dawn here, she would just, like, she would be able to, like, talk to the mutant gophers, and they would be able to win the challenge against Scott's dismay, since they know Scott doesn't want to be there. But it's either Scott's dying, or they're losing the challenge, or they're winning the challenge. Because, like, it's either they're losing and Scott's going to die, or they win. So Scott obliges, and they win the challenge, causing the mutant maggots to lose. And this is where Joe is going to want to get rid of Cameron because he fears that Brick is now convincing Cameron to be on his side. And he's kind of right. So they're all going to be, like, obliged to vote out Cameron. If Joe hadn't made, like, the connection of, oh my gosh, Cameron, how could you do that and lie to Zoe? And, like, she's just going to be starting to make anything she wants up right now. And she's like, Joe, what are you talking about? You hid Mike's secret from Zoe? And you couldn't tell her that? And obviously she knows that Cameron knows something about Mike, but she's not able to tell what. Like, for the past couple of episodes, since Mike and Cameron have becoming closer buddies. He's like, what are you talking about? He's like, oh my gosh. And Mike's going to be mad because he feels like Cameron's broken her trust. And Zoe's going to be confused, and she's also going to be mad that Cameron kept the secret. And Brick's going to feel like Cameron broke the cadet code. So they're going to vote off Cameron. And then Joe's going to be smirking, saying, you fools, Cameron didn't do anything. And then Mike's going to be thankful. Zoe's going to be relieved and a little confused, and Brick is going to feel upset, vowing to get his vengeance on Joe. And this is actually where I'm going to have the merge come. I know merge comes after episode 8, but I feel like happening in episode 8 here is good, because let's be honest, the teams are getting really small, and I know Scott's going to get eliminated in episode 8 if they were to lose and if he were to sabotage his own team again, but we don't want Scott being a bad villain. We just don't want that. So Scott's actually going to team up with Joe to go to be against Brick, Dawn, and B. So they agree, and they're going to be cheating to have the other team. Scott's going to, like, point the arrow in, like, the right direction or, like, the wrong direction, and they're still going to be winning the challenge. So when it comes to it, and B here's Sam and Gwen and Dakota, because Dakota's now going to be there, and they're going to hear about how they have been doing well together. I just wanted Sam and Dakota to have a happy ending, okay? But Joe is going to tackle B, so that way Scott can win the challenge. And Scott does win the challenge, so he's able to get immunity with everybody displeased. And then here, they don't really know who to vote for, but Brick wants to vote against Joe, which seems like a good idea. Until Joe and Scott, they start talking, and they're like, you guys can't even trust B. He doesn't say anything, and Dawn's trying to fight it, but they're gonna start to, like, agree with them. So they're gonna vote out B for being mysterious and also being really good at challenges, since he almost won the challenge. So we move on to episode 9, where the official merge was gonna happen, and yeah, everything here is gonna be like this. So Scott's gonna be talking to Dawn, and he's gonna be saying, all right, listen, I know there's something going on, Mike and Zoe. Just tell me what it is before I crush this cockroach. And Dawn, not wanting to hurt an animal, she's going to be like, okay, fine. Mike has multiple personality disorder, okay? So Scott's going to manipulate Mike like he did in the original, and then Scott's going to win the challenge, and Duncan's also going to be there, and he's still going to destroy Chris's house. So Scott wins immunity, and then he has a single vote, so he votes out Mike, just like in the original, because I really like that. And also, Mike reveals to Zoe about the and multiple personality disorder, and Zoe's gonna be okay with it, and they can finally, like, start an actual relationship together without any secrets. So we move on to episode 10. In episode 10, everyone is mad at everyone. Brick is still mad at Joe, Zoe and Dawn are mad at Scott, and Zoe is still mad at Joe, and Scott and Joe are just living the high life. And Heather is still gonna be Heather's still going to take over the plane, so now they have to stop Heather. So Zoe's going to get her revenge on Scott, so Scott's definitely not winning this challenge. And then Joe is going to try to win the challenge, only for Brick to come in clutch and win the challenge for himself. So Brick defeats Joe, so he wants to vote off Joe, and these two are going to vote off Scott. They're going to try to convince them to vote off Scott, but Brick isn't going to hear it. So it's a tie between Scott and Dawn, because Scott and Joe are going to vote off Dawn. That's a lot of names. I'm sorry if that's confusing, but it's 2 votes for Scott, 1 vote for Joe, 2 votes for Dawn. So Scott and Dawn, they're going to have a tiebreaker, and Scott's going to easily beat out Dawn, because he's much more stronger athletic than Dawn. So Dawn loses, and she's like, farewell, Zoe. I hope you win. And we move on to episode 11. In episode 11, I feel like this is where Brick snaps. Chef's going to throw him off the cliff. He's going to have his breaking point, and he's going to go all out for Joe. Kind of like what Zoe did for Scott, but now it's Brick. He is done being pushed around by Joe. So Brick actually, causes Joe a lot of harm. So he's going to get Joe eliminated here. Him and Zoe are going to vote off Joe, and Scott sees no use of Joe now that she's all injured up, and she didn't win in Unity. It doesn't really matter who does. So in episode 12, this is our final 3, and Brick has still lost his cadet code. So when Scott's in trouble during the middle of this challenge, it's still going to be the same challenge, so everything stays the same. So they're running, and the two are going to team up. So when Scott's in trouble, he's going to fall into a sinkhole. He's going to be like, help, help, and Zoe is going to try to save Scott. The Brick is going to try to go for the win, but then he realizes that he went against his own cadet code. So he tries to go back to save Scott, and then Scott wins the challenge, and then Brick's going to be like, I realized that today I went against my own cadet code. I vote for myself against the Doc of Shane. But then Scott's going to vote off Zoe because Zoe's the more worthy component, just like Lightning, and how the fact that he's more angry at Zoe than he is at Brick. So the final 2 are Scott and Brick. Thank you for watching this video. It's been a pleasure having you all here. Please like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye!